Taylor Swift, a globally renowned singer, musician, and philanthropist, had a deeply sensitive heart beyond her fame. Far from the glitter and glamour of stardom, she believed that true beauty in life came from bringing joy to others. One quiet evening, as the world swayed to her songs, she sat alone, watching the news in her room. One story shook her to the core. A young girl fleeing domestic abuse was forced to sleep on the streets because a women's shelter had no space for her. The next morning, she died in an accident. That very moment, Taylor made a decision. She would do something. Without any publicity or recognition, she secretly funded a women's shelter. Her only aim was to provide a safe roof for every abused and vulnerable woman. She provided the funds, selected the location, and instructed that no one should ever know the true founder of the shelter. She didn't want the shelter to be a place of charity by a celebrity, but a symbol of human dignity where every woman felt equal and protected. Years passed. The shelter continued to operate, but over time, the system changed. New staff, new policies, and new leadership gradually blurred the original values. Taylor was busy with her career, but her heart would often wonder, was the shelter still the sanctuary she had envisioned? Were women still embraced with compassion there, or had judgment and societal prejudice crept into the very place meant to shield women from such things? One day, she made a bold decision. She would walk into the shelter, hiding her identity, without makeup, without glamour, just like an ordinary woman seeking refuge. She wore plain clothes, no makeup, let her hair fall messily, and walked towards the doors of the very shelter she had built from her dreams. When she entered, the receptionist looked her up and down. Her eyes were full of silent judgment. "We don't accept walk-ins, especially not your type," the receptionist said coldly. Taylor tried to speak but was cut off. "Forms need to be filled online first, and you must be approved. There's no point wasting time here." Taylor quietly sat down in a corner. Her eyes glistened, but she remained composed. The women around glanced at her, some with curiosity, others with pity, but no one approached. Hours passed. No one offered her water. No one checked in on her. Evening turned to night. Staff changed, but the treatment stayed the same. She spent the entire night sitting there, silent and unnoticed. Inside, her heart was breaking, but she said nothing. The next morning, with the first light of day, she stood up and left without saying a word, but this time, she went straight to her office. She picked up the phone and asked to speak with the director of the shelter. When connected, the voice on the other end was full of the humility, typical of someone dependent on donor funds. But Taylor's voice was calm, yet firm. "Last night I walked into your shelter as an ordinary woman, with no name, no protection, and what I received was neglect, coldness, and judgment. Is this the place I dreamed of? Is this the sanctuary I envisioned?" There was silence on the other end, and Taylor called for a press conference. Reporters, fans, and organizations worldwide were stunned as she told a simple truth. A place meant to protect should never shame. What I felt last night was the pain of every woman who's only seeking dignity. This shelter was my dream. But dreams are not protected by walls. They are protected by the hearts of those who run them. She immediately announced additional funding, but simultaneously ordered a complete change in the shelter's leadership. New staff, new training, and a renewed soul. She instructed that from now on, no one's identity would ever matter and every woman would be made to feel worthy, no matter where she came from. After that day, no door remained closed in that shelter. No heart was cold. Every woman who entered was first seen as a human being. Taylor quietly returned to her world, but the storm stirred by her silent footsteps changed everything, and the girls who once knocked on closed doors now walked in with hope. As one woman who had everything chose to leave it all behind for one night just to become like them, and that one night changed an entire world.